Hi, I'm Radhika Gorur, and I'm a professor of education at Deakin University in Melbourne, Australia. In large part, my research is about how policy gets made and how data gets made and how the two influence each other. My argument is that the kind of data technologies that are available also influence the kind of modalities of governance that are available. And because there's been so many changes in the data technologies that are now evolving, particularly the more recent AI-enabled or AI-assembled data, this is producing new modalities, new ways of governing. And I want to understand what these new forms of data are and what these new modalities are that are being facilitated by these new types of technologies. I also suspect that the relationship between data and policy is changing, data and governance is changing. In the past, it used to be that the state had monopoly over data. It had certain theories of society and the way things worked, and it used those to develop statistical kind of surveys and so on to understand the state and to use that information to govern. But then we had the big data revolution, and we started having a lot of data that was generated continuously, not periodically. We had different types of predictive analytics that superseded the old type of planning, and we started having all these platforms and algorithms and decision making, automated decision making, which changed the way governance was done. So we started having all these kind of dashboard governance and algorithmic decision making and platform governance and so on that were not possible before. And my argument is that we now have even newer forms of data with new types of AI that are emerging, including of course Gen AI and decision making AI and agentic AI, and that these are producing other ways of other types of data, including synthetic data, and that these are not only intensified forms of big data but also qualitatively different to big data. And as a result, I feel that we are seeing new modes of governance that are emerging, and these are leading to the adoption of new types of technologies. And I feel that these are increasingly removed, the data that they're using are increasingly removed from government's own kind of theories and understandings of the state. And so this is urgent and important to think about, and that's the work I'm trying to do here. Gosh, AI is changing research in so many different ways. I think everything from how writing a grant application, you don't know who's writing it anymore, to actually assessing grant applications, and then of course the analysis that is done once you get a grant and you start your research, the data generation, the analysis, and even the publication of your work. So I think it's kind of entered every aspect of research, which is kind of really astounding. One of the things that I think is useful to think about is the division of labor between humans and machines in research in current times, in whatever field you're in. It used to be that we were told that machines were useful in taking away the boring tasks from humans, and that we could then be free to do the more interesting and more kind of higher level kind of stuff. But that may not always be the case, because for two reasons. One is that, of course, now we have AIs that are producing very plausible and very sophisticated looking research or analysis and so on, which which is the joyous part of research. And while they're also able to do things like, maybe if you say literature review or something might be the more boring part of your research. But if you delegate that to an AI, you lose the opportunity to really read the seminal text slowly and absorb the ideas and make connections across things that might not have occurred to you before. You also don't get a deep grounding in the field and in the kind of body of work that upholds your discipline, and this can, I think, have a very damaging effect on the inventiveness that you can have in the future. So it's not just about that you don't know the canon, but without knowing the canon you can't actually do new things.